Well, hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. I am your host, DBJ, and it's been a long time. I won't spend too much time on this, but it's been 3 months since I've gone live on the show. All of you able to join me when and if you can. I really appreciate it if you can join me live. 3 months in the social media interwebs is a long time to be away. Um, Glad to see some people, some regulars are back. Yeah, we've got a lot to catch up on. Wow, there's a lot of stuff going on. So let's get the preamble over real quick here. So it's been 3 months. Those who do not know me, I am a letter carrier in the United States Postal Service, and it's been rough these past 3 months or so. Long hours, in early, out late, that kind of thing. So yeah, don't feel sorry for me. They pay me to do it. I'm proud to do it, but it's taken me away from the community. So I'm glad to be back. Over these last 3 months, of course, a lot has happened. Uh, Basically, Netflix and chill has been the way to reduce the mind and body and stresses and things, which meant that I got to binge a lot of things, or rather, they got the opportunity to watch me while I sit there and snore. The wife's been extremely kind and helpful in that regard, putting the blanket over me, taking the shoes off, getting dinner ready, and all that kind of business. But yeah, it's been crazy. So to that regard, of course, I've missed all of February. Last year, I did like 2 weeks on like Black History Month and such. I'm not going to rehash what I talked about then, but if someone's interested in that kind of thing, I've got like 14 plus hours related to the tabletop RPG content and community. If you want to check that out on the channel, we may touch on that a little bit because there's some content creators out there that I want to spotlight. Also, there is just because of the old meme of Netflix and chill. There's a lot of movies and streaming services and series and things because that's the other passion of mine, and you guys know that I always bring it up. So I thought for like the next week, it might even extend to like a month. We're going to talk about um, great premises, excellent premises, and terrible execution ideas, right? Like this is going to be the reverse of the trend in YouTube and Twitch, where people take a look and watch live like these great movies and TV shows. I'm actually going to talk about the ones that are like, oh, you really don't want to waste your time there. I need guys. I got to shout out some guys here who've just been. Thank you for joining me. Tired Needs Sleep, Cameron, hello, Egg of Death, what's going on there? Yeah, thank you so much for stopping by, man. And yeah, I didn't announce that I would be coming back, like make a big thing days or even weeks beforehand. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to do it. So you guys are going to see there's going to a very slight change. You're not going to notice it too much. The shows are going to be reduced in time, but will also be Saturday and Sunday shows. Now, the Saturday and Sunday shows may not be live, but they will be premiering around the same time. So, and I'm a sci-fi head at heart. So, as you can see with the T-shirt, Perseverance. For those who don't know, the yet another 1 ton plus drone has landed on Mars, and the United Arab Emirates, as well as China, has also launched their own various space programs to Mars, and they've gotten there. So yeah, we'll be going that too well. Karen's like the Will Smith and Son movie about going back, being stranded on evolved Earth. What was that? After Earth? Yeah, that's a perfect. Thank you very much. That's a perfect example of like great premise, terrible execution. So like, I'm not suggesting people. We're going to talk about some series and movies where you're going to be cringing, like, oh, do you really want to? You'll never get that time back if you watch it. But sometimes the premise of it itself is the thing. Yeah, Cam. It's like, woozah, perseverance. Yeah. Some of course, the word perseverance is a great thing. But if you see the digital art, you'll or across the T-shirt, you'll see that the little drone here on the chest, yeah, going across the red planet. I'm a anyway. One of these days, uh, a bucket list thing of mine is just to go down to Cape Canaveral and just watch a launch, man, like a Rocket 5 launch, man. You just sit there and be swept over by the heat from like a mile or more off the coast of Florida. That'd just be really cool. But anyway, all right, so let's get into it because we are a tabletop RPG community tricast here. So it's, it's enough about me. I'm done with that. Let's talk about some stuff. So there is and this might be a little bit too soon, and talk about excellent idea, terrible premise. Sometimes the premises come out and hit a little bit too hard too soon. And so if you take a look at the thumbnail, we're talking about the movie Songbird. Now, the title Songbird and even the image on the front of it, the young, of course, beautiful people, the handsome young man, the beautiful young woman behind a door looking at each other, you go, oh, this must be like romance or something, and it kind of is. But let me give you the premise of this and then let you guys cringe later on. So, Songbird is a 2020 American science fiction thriller film based on the COVID-19 pandemic. I can hear all of you clicking away, getting to turn this off already, but let me finish. Um, okay, so it goes with it's directed by Adam Mason, who wrote the screenplay with Simon Boyes, and produced by Michael Bay, Adam Goodman, Andrew Sugarman, and Eben Davison. I'm sure they made this movie to capitalize on the COVID-19 epidemic. Okay. Film stars KJ Apa, who's in Riverdale, Sophia Carson, Craig Robinson, Bradley Whitford. I love him. Peter Stormare, Alexandra Daddario, Paul Walter Hauser, and Demi Moore, of all people. Okay. Songbird is the plot of it is by 2024, the COVID-19 virus has mutated into COVID-23, and the world is in its fourth pandemic year. In the United States, people are required to take temperature checks on their cell phones, while those infected with COVID-23 are taken from their homes against their will and forced into quarantine camps, also known as Q zones or concentration camps, where some fight back against the brutal restrictions. In these camps, the infected are left to die or forcibly get better. Nico Price, a motorbike courier with immunity due to the fact he was infected with the virus, is in a virtual relationship with Sarah Garcia, a young artist living with her grandmother, Lita, whose lockdown prohibits them from physical contact. I don't need to go much further than that. You get the point, right? It's a quarantine movie. It's a lockdown movie. Now, a little too soon. Cameron's like, I don't recognize anyone but Demi Moore. Yeah, I see the face emoji there. Cam's like, oh my god. Again, a little too soon. Yeah, right. But let's look past the COVID-23 conceit of this movie, right? And like I said, I'm not suggesting anybody do it, but we're going to use this as mind fuel. All right. So imagine a world basically under quarantine. Now, we associate the word quarantine, and I'm going to come up with some other descriptors so we can actually fade away from that portion of it. But imagine a world where the majority of individuals, by force or choice, are locked away because of some outside danger. There's some external force out there that no one wants to be exposed to. Now, we know this in science fiction all the time, right? We do this with hostile planets. The atmosphere is poisonous. There's dangerous radiation. We see this in horror movies where, hey, you exit the door, there's some kind of dangerous monster out there. And The Quiet Place, Bird Box are two examples that I can come up with. But imagine a world where there's these small, enclosed, cramped locations that people can't leave due to danger, but it's a pressure boiler, right? The pressure's boiling over psychologically and socially inside of these little small bubbles, and the player characters we're going to talk about the roles the player character is going to make, but more likely than not, the player characters are the ones who venture out into the danger to find these other enclaves to get to them. And I think that's a great concept because you guys know I always talk about uh, like some of the top 3 or 4 things that I think are really great toolbox, little tools you can use in your tabletop RPG toolkit. And one of them is tension. Anything you can add tension to, whether that tension happens over years, like there's an ice age growing, or there's an imminent war about to happen, there's a storm on the horizon, or there's a political change, where when you start to get that, when tension starts to meet the players in the middle, when the time is going from years or months, but down to days and hours and minutes and then moments, the greater you can get that tension close to the players, the greater chance you can eliminate analysis paralysis. So the idea that you have a world or even a section of your world where you leave and you're letting the players know up front, the minute you leave, the danger starts, right? If there's, I love myself some Displacer Beasts, Dungeons and Dragons, but they're an example of what's pitch black. When you go outside and when the sun goes down, there's danger there. In Bird Box, it was if you're not blindfolded, if you look at the creatures, they're going to drive you insane and you'll want to commit suicide. In A Quiet Place, if you make a noise when you're outside of your safe zone, well, actually, if you're inside your own safe zone, but whatever the case may be, you make noise outside, they're going to come after you. And in this way, it's really an excuse for you as the dungeon master, game master, to keep the danger level high. Like, listen, if you leave this refuge, there's going to be 18 basilisks and chimeras and everything coming after you, you know? Cameron says, a civilization of warforged forced to stay inside to avoid plagues of flying rust monsters. Ooh. Oh man, I can see players now going, "You're nerfing my character," right? But hey, why not? Why not? And imagine various dangers out there, right? Like, could you imagine turning the volume up to 11 in Dungeons and Dragons, where there's like herds of rust monsters and fleets? Literally, you think they're storm clouds, but they're fleets of like ghosts and things flying through the air, or earth elementals the size of whole cities or something like that, roaming around the countryside. And yes, I'm kind of referring. It sounds a little bit like, oh, what's the recent? Is it Love and Monsters? Is a recent release, and there's another one with Mila Jovovich about fighting giant monsters or what have you. Cam says the Nerf virus. Yeah, everything your character has, there is a bane to it. Yeah. Oh man. But in all seriousness, though, I think this concept can go pretty far, especially if you get players who are kind of done with the whole like. Sometimes players can get a little masturbatory when it comes to wanting to create the biggest and best character class and options available if you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, or actually playing any game. You're playing Cyberpunk or Shadowrun or any number of games. Everyone wants the biggest, best, greatest character or whatnot. Hey, Mufa, welcome back. Yeah, I'm back. um, it's starting off a little chunky here because I'm a little nervous too. I've got the nervous energy in the hands, but it's starting to fade a little bit. I'm actually more happy than anything, more than nervous, because strangely enough, I'm a bit of a shy person in actuality, but I love my games. But the idea that there is a danger out there that your player character will always have a problem with, I think in terms of the idea of a quarantine realm, I think it's a great idea, and it's, you can pull so much from it, right? Like, first of all, you can do a very easy Monster of the Week idea. I mean, I think there's a role playing game literally called Monster of the Week, but you guys know this for television, right? Procedural television shows, main characters, show starts, they give you a premise, dangle a couple of threads. The main characters go through that premise, and then at the end of it, they wrap it up. And us in the tabletop RPG community, sometimes we only think of one shots or we think of campaigns. But I think we can come up with other. There's things in the middle we can play with, and I think the idea of a tightly, narrowly focused gaming world allows us to play with our favorite people, run games without the stress of having to run a full campaign, and yet not lose the intensity of doing a one shot. I think there's things in the middle. Um, like Cameron says, oh, stay inside because of vampires. It could be done in Ravenloft. And I'm already with you there, Cam. Just because of typing limitations. When you say vampires, Ravenloft, you can open the book of anything in Ravenloft, right? Vampires, waves of skeletons, zombies, ghosts, banshees. Go through your whole laundry list of undead, mixing them together. Maybe there's certain regions where there's more of one than the other, and quadruple the amount that would realistically be there to confront the player characters, and literally tell them, hey, listen, you could spend about an hour out there. You're probably safe. More than that, it's gonna get exponentially worse, right? We've all seen zombie movies. You see one zombie, there's probably 50 behind them, right? The main characters get stuck somewhere. Somebody always has to trip and fall. Someone gets separated. All the tropes, and the danger increases because one or two zombies, no big deal, but it's the wave of zombies that makes it dangerous. But we're playing role playing games. We don't have to stick with zombies. They could be mindless vampire spawn. They could be ghosts feeding on guilt and depression, or horrors that the player characters like, being assaulted by their own failings and whatnot. It could even be something more tempestuous, such as like fairy creatures, succubi, incubus, where the danger is being drawn out of your safe haven into a place that's like a paradise. And maybe that paradise is dangerous. People look out and their eyes get glazed over and they're like, oh, my true love. And everyone's like, no, stop them. Or some, whatever the danger is, you could come up with it, and you could start mixing and matching dangers too, based on maybe the northern region is different than the southern region, or it's based on bloodlines, or it's based on a character concept. Maybe one of the character concepts is you get to pick your danger, right? Like, what is it? Classic Dungeons and Dragons. I'm playing a ranger, and my favorite enemy are giants. So guess what? When I go out, guess what comes around the corner? Nothing but waves of giants. And sure, I can beat ass on giants, but at the same time, they kind of follow me around, right? Like the physical manifestation of your dreams and desires, yet nightmares or something. Gaster Two Soul, yeah, yeah. I'm back. I'm back. And glad to be back. Cameron says undead wolves that spew blue fire from their wounds and explode when brought to 0 hit points, and the flames light flammable things on fire. Yeah, listen. Hell's yes. You could come up with so many things, and as a matter of fact, we know pretty much that the monsters we have in our role-playing games are derived from mythology, and mythology is based on our own fears. So, like, dragons, of course, are an amalgamation of our fears. Humans fear fire. We fear darkness. We fear our own corruption, our own temptations, our own addictions. And so greed and power and lust have a lot to do with, say, dragons. We fear scaled creatures, snakes, tentacles. We fear flying creatures, hawks, falcons, things of that nature. And so you combine all those things together, predatory creatures, tigers, wolves, and whatnot. Anyway, they kind of represent all those things. So imagine giving birth and life to our greatest fears, and the monsters that they fight are a fear that each player character has to pick. And so the monsters they fight are literally an amalgam of of the fears that each player character has. So if you let's say you've got 4 players, one player's got a fear of heights, and another one's got a fear of spiders. So when they go out, there's some amalgam of some kind of spider-like thing that pulls them up into the sky, that drop them into, it could be something like that. And maybe instead the one who's scared of spiders doesn't go out, but then the other one who's afraid of their dark desires. I mean, you could just do some crazy thing like that. But I do love that. Gasser Two Soul says, so I decided to check out Warhammer 40K, and Jesus Christ, that was one hell of a thing to play around with. Yeah, I would say I feel sorry for you, but yeah, for Warhammer 40K is a role playing world and real world that you just won't be able to come out of, man. I I'm 50 years old, dude, and I still cannot wrap my head around everything that 40K has. Oh, and he also other than that, I've been good. How have you been, DB? Well, um, busy is the best way to do it, and the brain has been in a stasis. It's been very hard to be creative, and now that not going in at 6 in the morning and getting up at 4:30 and 5 in the morning, and going to work and then getting home at like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night, day in, day out. It's been wild. But the funny thing, the reason why I brought up Songbird, this it's not a very good movie. I mean, sorry, in my opinion, but the concept of the COVID-23 and 4 years locked away, which is our whole tabletop RPG mind fuel idea we have today, made me think about the fact that so many people have been locked away, and now we've gotten so much of the community. And I mean, this is anecdotal, just related to what my job is, that people are now relying on everything being delivered to them, right? Groceries and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just thinking of like how cool it would be for player characters um, to be couriers in this world of danger, where it's not a matter of going out and fighting the big bad and beating ass and getting back home, stealing stuff. It could be the players are literally a courier service in a world where all humanity is locked away in these little enclaves, and the player characters are the ones who have to go out into the danger. And so, in this monster of the week type of concept, literally getting things from place to place, food, water, all kinds of supplies. Um, we've seen in post-apocalyptic worlds where it's all about time, right? Getting power back on, getting water when they're to a location, when the water source has stopped, when something has broken down and the only way to fix it is to go on the outside into the dangerous area. Starships, castles, heck, Mad Max Fury Road, fixing a truck that's on the move because you can't stop because you're being attacked by bandits and all that kind of stuff. I love that idea, and you could even take this quarantine idea and make it mobile, right? Like Mad Max Fury Road, you've got a world where people are on the move. Piracy, and the age of piracy kind of fits into this, right? Where you have people on a large group of people who are the commoners, the normies, the crunchies, and they need to be protected by humanity. Oh, Mofa brings up Kevin Costner in The Postman. Yeah, you've got um, modern society's broken down for whatever reason. Even in a medieval society, you can still have the same thing where society's broken down and they're all cloistered away in their safe zones, oases, maybe. Maybe those locations are temporary in the long term, maybe by weeks or months. Maybe like, hey, yeah, we can find this place, but temperatures are changing, the seasons are changing, the water source is going away, or whatever. Hey, listen, Cam says, have you seen The Postman with Kevin Costner? People couldn't get out of town because of technology limits and demanding daily life. Yeah, and also, listen, when The Postman came out, and this is a little personal thing. When they advertised that movie, they sent out for us letter carriers. They sent out these postcards to go see the movie. I mean, they really were like really promoting that movie at the time. I read the book, movie, it fits into our category of excellent premise, terrible execution. Um, I think Kevin Costner's gotten better as he's gotten older. But that being the case, yeah, the Postman is a perfect example. Maybe the player characters are fictional or real agents of getting society back together. That'd be awesome for the player characters to like, okay, your job is to reconnect with these enclaves of humanity. Go. And it becomes less of beating ass and taking names and more of, okay, you've got a time limit. You don't have time to get in a fight and go through deep dungeons and stuff. You've got to get from A to B. Now, it could be, now there might be player characters who are like, oh, my job's to beat ass while you get the children from across the blasted desert or something to the secret enclave of humanity, or the young pregnant women. Mad Max Fury Road idea, right? Get the young pregnant girl and the other ladies in the harem away from the treacherous individuals. And of course, we all know when you get quarantine enclave styled movies and television, the greatest danger tends not to be on the outside, but it's us. When society falls, who steps up? The bastards, the a-holes, the pedophiles, the dominators, the psychos. They always step up, and of course, you have to be the hero and start punch somebody in the throat, right? So yeah, it's that kind of thing. Gaster Two Soul says I was thinking if we went the other way around, where the players have to play as a collaborative team and play as this virus and try to evolve it in some way to hopefully end all humanity. Ooh, that's a different twist on the idea of like, it would be pretty interesting for. Okay, sorry, Two Soul, but you got me thinking. This concept was used in the 90s, if you guys don't know, with the White Wolf Gaming Company, where you player characters play vampires, werewolves, ghosts, fey creatures, magi. They play the bad guys, but you find out that it's flipped the script. Like werewolves aren't the bad guys, but humanity thinks that they are. So it would be kind of weird for the player characters to be the virus, the evil thing on the outside, knowing that the enclaves are being manipulated by some air quotes evil force, but the people in the enclaves don't know it, but the players do know it. And the players represent something outside, like something alien, or the players are playing like doppelgangers and something mind controlled or something. That would be kind of different. I'm all right, Two Soul. I'm feeling you on that one. I really am. Anyway, Gaster goes on to say the Postman was a trippy film, like that film that had Samuel L. Jackson and the other guy from 2012, where basically phones turned everyone rabid and practically began to be insane. Uh, um, hmm. Okay. All right. Uh, I know you guys know the movie, The Golden Circle, Kingsman, cell phones. People listen to cell phones make their heads explode. Is that what you're talking about? Anyway, yeah. Sorry. Cameron says, like the virus is a neural upgrade for humanity, but some people can't handle it. Ooh. You know what? That's another great idea. How many of us even today are, if you dangle the idea of an easy fix, jump on it. Um, there's a multi-billion-dollar industry of, say, drugs and surgeries that will cure you of all your things, and a neural upgrade would be a perfect example of that. Where, oh, guess what? Hey, everyone, get this thing implanted in the back of your head, or maybe technology has gotten to the point where there's already implants in people's heads, and a company or a government or something has said, hey, guess what? We have a thing that will make you stronger, faster, smarter, live longer, blah, blah, blah. And Everyone's like, wow, this really works. I can remember everything. I can do it. Yep. Oh. Ego Death brings up The Happening, which is perfect. Great concept, terrible execution. The Happening, for you guys who don't know, The Happening is a movie where something happens. Ugh, I hate using the same word to describe the thing that's happening. But anyway, in the movie The Happening, the first 20 to 30 minutes is good because something happens, blows through the trees, and people start committing suicide by choice or hypnotism. Like a police officer pulls out his own gun and shoots himself in the head, and you see someone walk by, pick up the same gun, and puts the bullet to their head. If you see the first episode of here in the United States, a freeform show called Motherland Fort Salem, where the Salem witch trials reversed, and actually the witches became, to modern day, became our military force by saving humanity. And in that one, there were suicide bombers. Okay, follow me on this. In that one, there was a balloon, and the balloon exploded in a. It opens with a balloon exploding in a shopping mall, and when it exploded, it cast a spell, and the entire shopping mall, all the people in the mall, walked all the way up, scrambled up to the very top level, and jumped off of it to commit suicide. And there were thousands of people just jumping to their deaths and stuff. It's pretty nasty, and it was a magical twist on the suicide bomber. And I was like, "Oh, that's nasty." They even pulled the same thing later on in that first episode, where they took a cruise ship and everybody on the cruise ship went to the top decks and jumped off into the water and drowned. And I was like, "Ow, that's a nasty spell." But that's a great idea, though. I think like a happening kind of thing where if you leave the enclave of sorts, you go out there, some kind of magic will affect your mind or hypnotize you or make you see an illusion, and you see your family now as evil creatures stuff. Caster Two Soul brings up the movie The Cell. Oh, Jennifer Lopez, The Cell, a dreamscape world. That's actually, I'm not going to put that in a excellent execution, terrible. I mean, excellent premise, terrible execution form. The Cell's actually pretty good. It is. Sorry. I think it is. I think it was just because at the time it was the word Jennifer Lopez mixed with anything movie wise. People just were like, eh. But it's a great movie. Um, Gaster Susel says, when you said that part with the whole, we got something that'll make you stronger and faster, and I suddenly began to hear Daft Punk's harder, better, faster, stronger. Yeah. Yeah, that's what Cam said too. I can't. The song's in my head, but I don't want to. I can't do the beat because they'll ding me on it. But yeah, oh man, it actually makes me think of how many we've had a number of songs like that. Yeah, stronger, better, faster. Like I Am Titanium and all that. Like, there's a lot of songs of um, fireworks and stuff. There's a lot of like anthem, fist in the air, I'm better now kind of movie. I mean, kind of songs that went along with various visual medium. Um, that would be strange for the players to have to. Okay, here's a little twist on this idea as well. The players specifically choose not to engage in the thing that's making everybody better, putting them on their heels. So the players now start below everyone else, but most of humanity, which are better, stronger, faster, right? They're the ones that are made of titanium. They are the whatever, you know what I mean? They're so much better, but they don't realize the insidious corruption or control that's happening to them. And the players are always put on this level where we have to use the weapons against the people who are better than us, but the more we use them, the greater chance we're going to lose ourselves. Um, that would be kind of cool. That would be very cool. Well, Ooh, who said? Gasser says, no, I was talking about the film about the phone things. Oh. It's it's not the Cell, but it's just called Cell. I didn't hear. I'll have to check that one out unless you're telling me not to. I'm sorry. I was thinking of the movie The Cell, not the movie Cell, which I never knew about that one. That's something new. Hmm. Guess this is not good in all honesty, but sure. Yeah. And so for the next week, it'll probably be longer than a week. There's a ton of stuff being dumped onto streaming services that I've checked out, and not too good. Tomorrow, uh, there's we're going to look at a Netflix movie called The Last. What's the title? The Last Crime in America, The Last American Crime. Sorry, I don't like to do this too much. The Last Days of Crime. That's it. The Last Days of American Crime. That's the movie. Oh my God. Oh, what a great premise. No, 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 not sorry. Awesome premise. You don't have to waste your time. Yeah, Cameron says, I just want to point out that Alexander the Great was great, but the movie wasn't. Does that count? Yeah. That's another one that I had high hopes for. I love epic historical sweeping stories where you get to see what was the other day I was just watching Master and Commander. I love that those immersive movies and things, and that just it was a bore fest. Such a shame too. Such a shame. Great cast. You would think great director, but the I think the script and the execution was terrible. Cat's just like, oh, you just had to bring that fucking thing up. Yeah, okay, so before we get out of here, a little promo for tomorrow. The last days of American crime. Oh, you're talking about Alexander the Great. Yeah, Alexander the Great. Last days of American crime is an idea where crime has gotten so bad that the government has created a system where they can send out a signal that will prevent all crime. And the main characters are out to do one big last heist before all crime ceases. A weird concept, but kind of cool because you get to follow like the bad guys. But the execution, I was like, what? This makes no sense. What? Oh man! And then so tried to push my way through it. Took me 3 times, and then by the time I got to the end, I was like, that wasn't worth it. That was not worth it at all. Oh man, tired, need sleep. Yeah, what's going on? Gasper's Two Souls says that sounds like a fever dream wrapped up in an LSD infused marijuana joint. Yeah, yeah. It could have gone so many places, and it just didn't. Yeah, Gasper says this is going to sound bad. This is going to sound bad, but there aren't many films that dive into mythology as well. No, there aren't. No, there aren't. And mind you, let's realize that when it comes to movies and television, it's actually far. The fact that there's as many good ones as there are is not normal. It's actually pretty rare. Really good genre television and movies are extremely hard to do. There's too many moving parts, too easy to wreck a thing, even down to editing. Just one extra frame or deleting one frame from a scene can really change your enjoyment of a thing. Timing is so great. Lighting, music, good sound, all that kind of stuff. Just enough. A tweak one direction or the other can make a good thing terrible. And sometimes it's so subtle you don't even realize it. So yeah, Mufa says we're talking about Netflix shows. Space Sweepers is some fun, if cheesy sci-fi. Oh, I saw the trailer for that. I wasn't sure if I wanted to waste my time on it, but it did look funny. Had some interesting setting ideas you could steal for a fun RPG. Space Sweepers, yeah, it looks like a really gonzo sci-fi, like weird repair trash pickup group or something. I Hard to explain that, but yeah, I think so. I thought Lost in Space, the was it 2 seasons? Maybe I think it's 2 seasons long. I thought the Lost in Space Netflix show was really good. It it fell on the YA form of it, but I love the exploration of it. I thought the execution was there. I felt just because I'm older, I think it could have had a little bit more grunt to it. I thought Lost in Space was pretty good, but I think it falls into our categories. Gasper says back to the mythology film thing. I feel like one of the best mythological movies I've seen is Jason and the Argonauts. There, I've said it. Yeah, you're a person of a certain age because I remember Jason and the Argonauts, and oh my god, I love those movies. That is a classic. That is a real classic, man. Jason and the Argonauts, actually, kind of role playing game related too, right? Um, a boat of all the greatest mythological heroes goes on a big journey to perform an act and get a magic item. What was it? The Golden Fleece, and you had like Hercules and Theseus and all the yeah. That's actually I think today people would call it real cheesy. So I think that fits into our maybe we'll take a look at that too. Gaster says if we're talking about Netflix things, I saw the recently remade Mystery Science Theater 3000 series. Remade? I didn't know that. I'll have to check that out. Wow. Mufa says, yeah, the new Lost in Space was better than I thought it would be. I'm with you there, Mufa. I thought the Lost in Space series was a lot better. I actually enjoyed the world building they did with Lost in Space. It kind of made sense to me. I really liked it. Humanity had to leave Earth. They made up some vague, I don't know, comet or meteor strike was about to happen. The family had to leave. There was a starship, and there were all these people in these ships called Jupiters. There was a giant spindle that was going to another alien world where a new society would be, and then it went through like a wormhole, and there was a kind of I like the premise of Lost in Space because there are a lot of problems to fix. Maybe I'm going off into the Lost in Space thing, but yeah, yeah. Cameron says the '90s made for TV movies. The Odyssey is the best adaptation of the story I've seen. Oh, um, I cannot remember the main actor's name. You are so right. It was a miniseries in the '90s, and it was the Odysseus story. 15 years. Held up his middle fingers to Neptune, needed to get back home. Neptune was like, oh, you gonna disrespect me? And left him out there for, was it 15 years or whatever, trying to get his way back home. And that's actually a pretty good series. Hmm. Gasper says, as for Lost in Space, I liked it a lot as well. The robot definitely threw me off, that's for sure. Armand Asante, yeah. That series actually was all right. I give you the slow clap on that one. That series was better than it had any right to be, especially in the '90s. For its, I suppose if I looked at it now, you could see the holes in it, but I mean, just from a technological point of view, but the storylines, pretty close to those epic mythological stories of the sirens and the muse and Circe and what was it, the one-eyed cyclops, nobody, who blinded you, nobody or no one, or so, whatever that story was. I'm I can't remember all the stories. I'm old, but yeah. Anyway, guys, we've come to the end. We're going to have slightly shorter episodes coming up, but there will be some episodes on Fridays and Saturdays. and that'll be far more devoted to the science fiction heart of me because I'm a sci-fi soul at head. But I mean, in my head. But yeah, we're going to have to do it. And of course, when it becomes the Future Friday, Sci-Fi Saturday, maybe some Super Science Sunday or something, we're definitely going to talk about the Mars landing and Perseverance and some other sci-fi shows that are out there as well. No disrespect to my favorite and long-lasting Dungeons and Dragons, but yeah, there are some other things out there that I love very very much as well. So yeah, we'll get into that. So guys, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for even. I'm honestly, I'm really surprised you guys even got the notification. So yeah, this is a small but steady um, lead back into the regular shows, and yeah, dude, spread the word. Just everybody, just like, share, subscribe, join in, participate. Give me a big thumb in the eye if you want to, all that kind of stuff. But guys, again, thank you so much for joining me. Um, why the hell you guys get, for those of you in the United States who get up early enough to even participate in this, I'm glad I could be there for your day, and thank you for giving me the energy to do these kind of things. So yeah, small rollout, but yeah, we're going to get into it. Guys, thank you very much. Everybody have a great day. I have to get off to work as well. Everyone, goodbye. See ya.